So, Wild Man on alcohol. Again, I'd emphasize nature her likes for diversity. She makes different types of central nervous systems. You all have your drug of choice, right? What you gravitate towards. Same thing in all its vicissitudes related to your vulnerability to being hijacked by alcohol. So it's one of a unique class in these substances that are addictive that has different qualities. There's actually a genetic component. If you've got family members who have alcoholism or stumble upon it or it hijacks them, you are also more vulnerable to it revving up that dopamine circuit as the blood alcohol level rises.
Here's to 5 miserable months on the wagon and all the irreparable harm that it's caused me. How are things going, Mr. Torrance?
And admitting I do not have control over this unconscious part of my limbic system that has been hijacked by this toxic, physiologically hacking substance, now has created a new artificial instinct in which the horse keeps bucking towards it. So, further elucidating the medical model, you withdraw from alcohol. Your brain adapts to it. It ramps up what's called the glutamatergic system. It's an excitatory system. You might have heard of the depressant system in the body versus the excitatory system. Depressant system doesn't mean mood. It means the propensity for your neurons to fire off. Alcohol dampens and activates the inhibitory depressant system. Your brain doesn't like that. It wants homeostasis, so it ramps up the glutamatergic excitatory system. And then you got that big old glutamate adaptation, and the alcohol leaves your system, and all of a sudden you withdraw. Shaky, sweaty, nauseous. Heart rate going above 130 beats per minute for 48 hours, 72 hours straight. Feels terrible, miserable. Severe enough, excitatory enough, you get full-blown seizures. It is a medical condition and hijacks the brain, that organ that's so obviously sitting in that ancient cavity of your skull. I'll talk about the demonstrated effects of this. You out there who know somebody, a friend, a family member who has been abused by alcohol, you can also pick up on the abuse. Ruling, it's difficult. You're attached to this living person and their radio station, your antenna station, you care about and love. They're doing this seemingly insane thing that's so obviously self-destructive, and they can't face it. They don't want to face it. How can they not see it? Probably a common phenomenon is the psychodynamic of it. They want to do everything possible to maintain that hijacked instinct, to keep it and reinforce it, because it's a reinforcement loop as long as it's sustainable. Things get all distorted around that unnatural, desperate, urgent instinct that's been created by the addictive substance. It's hard because it hijacks them. It grows these unnatural, dark roots upward into their consciousness and behavior. They become desperate, distorted goblins around substance. They attack, they blame, they distort under the pressure of a hijacked limbic system. They become unnaturally desperate.
Have you ever thought for a single solitary moment about my responsibilities to my employers?
These places of great unnatural suffering, which unfortunately I'm sorry you're dealing with, but you're not alone. Realize the alcohol has hijacked your relationship, and you're actually feeling the alcoholism yourself as you're attached to this person who is suffering from it. Your antenna and radio station, again, is in a very deep and sophisticated way attached and in flux and flow in a very real way. Natural evolutionary understanding with theirs. So if they're hijacked, you're kind of hijacked too. And it's really hard on the friends, the family members.
Things could be a whole lot better.
I hope it's nothing serious.
No. Nothing serious.
They have sayings. I don't know if they're totally accurate. There's not a universal formula, but you don't take away the right of someone's bottom of their barrel. And here's the tragedy in it and the pathology of it. You have to make a terrible, imperfect decision, and you have to do one that is in the name of health. You hide away from the pathology. You don't acknowledge it, talk about it, give voice to it, and make hard decisions in the face of it. It's well known that only they can do the change. Another adage: you never work harder than the addict. Otherwise, you're just playing into the hijack dynamic, fueling it and enabling it. They are the ones who must fight the fight. You can supply them with the resources. They're the ones who need to call the rehab. They're the ones who need to go. You cannot force them into recovery. You can only be there to act as catalyst. If your significant other has been able to arrive and entertain that they have a problem or that a substance is abusing them, it's a good way to frame it. First step is to encourage their curiosity and awareness, what we call motivational interviewing. Encourage the curiosity, and any time they're talking about change or considering how the substance is abusing them, give them attention, warmth. Do a little bit of reverse behavioralism. Have an association of, hey, I'm intrigued and interested, smile and support when you are having change talk. When they're cultivating a stance of conscious rebellion against that sector in which is hijacked by the substance.
The most terrible nightmare I ever had. It's the most horrible dream I ever had.
It's okay now.
It speaks to this unconscious dimension. It speaks to the complexity of other psychodynamic factors that bring them into addiction, which is not just medical model, it's also software, it's architectural, it's Skinner's behavioralism.
What is meant by the phrase, our behavior is determined?
Well, I mean, the behavior is indeed the behavior of a physical organism. We are just organisms, and our behavior is chemically, physically, otherwise completely determined by our genetic endowment, what has happened in the history of the species, and what has happened to us as individuals since birth, and what the present situation we find ourselves in. And our behavior then, I think, can be shown to be a product of that. And that is determined. Doesn't mean that we are unable to do things about our own behavior, because we are. We're able to change the world in which we live, and that's change our own behavior.
First, admit you have a problem. Steps, AA, etc. Whether or not you agree with AA or scientifically driven, regardless, it's an old culture of people getting together, trying to feel something out and solve it. AA is good. Starting place is something like that, bringing it to the forefront of one's consciousness. Whether AA or Al-Anon, which is very helpful, pretty darn universal for all my patients. Al-Anon is a group for family members or loved ones for those who are addicted to a substance or alcohol. It's grueling. You're attached to this ocean of a human being who often has incredible potential and health. Very often the addictive personality is quite potent in other ways. Unfortunately, the dopamine system has advantages and disadvantages, genius and madness. There's entire groups of our tribe who regularly encounter this, entire cultures that have adapted in the face of it. You feel it, you can detect it. If you search your life and relationships, we'll be able to find somewhere where this occurs. Again, it bathes our species. Doesn't matter who you are, all socioeconomic statuses, doctors, CEOs, lawyers, very often, again, those primed, high-powered dopamine systems are even more prone to addiction and alcohol, etc. So it's a matter of the whole species being bathed in it and it having its impact, and hence another reason why we need a substitute for it. So Al-Anon allows these individuals to share their experience, how to contend with the loved one who is a part of them, the loved one's hijacked sectors, parts of themselves, which the family, the person, the friend, significant other feels symbiotically. AA is a good first step. Higher levels, such as an intensive outpatient program, where they can still stay at home and go to work, but they go work a program that's 3 half-days a week and get a good jump education camp on alcohol and understanding its mechanisms and physiological circuitry, very much just learning how the substance works on their organ of their brain is a great first step, is a great first foothold in which to contend and wrestle with this phenomenon.
You cannot pass!
Further from there, IOPs are easy. It is a medical emergency and required. It is a medical model. You can get time off work. You and your provider can fill out FMLA paperwork so you can have additional protected sick leave, just like if you had an appendicitis or big surgery and needed time to recover. There's a lot of things that make you feel are in the way of it, but you can always create that breathing room in which to treat yourself and improve your health. It very much is an element of health in the organ of the brain. Beyond that, inpatient rehab is great. It does a forceful insulation of your behavior. You make a choice. I'm going to put myself in a quote-unquote zoo enclosure and not allow that id limbic system that's hijacked to, by hook or crook, bring me back to the substance.
For some people, solitude and isolation can of itself become a problem. Not for me.
I believe in self-control, but only because we have been taught how to control ourselves.
How do we control ourselves?
By doing what we would do to control someone else, which is to manipulate the environment. Rather than just go with an act of will, we change the world in which we live, and if we're successful and skillful, we can change our behavior.
And I use the example, all allegory holds metaphoric overlap. The Bridge of Kazad-dûm, the way the dwarves engineered a way to protect themselves. In order to enter or leave the city, everything had to pass by a tiny, narrow bridge where only 2 people side by side could pass at a time. This is an allegory as well to the smart adjustments in environment and ways you can cleverly insulate yourself in your animalistic, unconscious, hijacked limbic system against the throes of addiction. You can put yourself in the constructed, engineered, smart, dwarvenly crafted inpatient rehab in which the entry and exit of the flow of addiction can be highly titrated, clamped down upon, and controlled via conscious engineered foresight. And then the bridge collapses. It's a way to outsmart and insulate the influence of the demon, the now hijacked dark force within your limbic system, cannot pass, has to cross this narrow bridge you have outsmarted via your conscious choice into rehab, and must collapse into the darkness or lose its power and fade away. But remember the whiplash. Remember the persistent risk of relapse pulling you back down into the dark chasm. So the addict doesn't get applause on earth, but you better believe they get applause in heaven. They've overcome a deep, dark, ancient demon within the depths and power of their unconscious and mind. They should be applauded to have wrestled with such a thing, just like men who wrestle with angels and demons or wrestle with God on the mountaintop. They've wrestled with something and overcome it, and I applaud you.